Call the meeting to order. Minutes, resolution 25-119, to accept the minutes of June 18th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Any, all in favor?
You watched it on TV.
Abstain.
Yeah. John's abstaining because he was not here. Even though he watched it on TV, we have this good mission.
Yeah, I'm abstaining.
Public comment, to allow members of the public to comment or reserve time to speak on upcoming agenda items. See nobody from the public here. Workshop, discuss proposal from Kennebec Behavioral Health to use $6,250 in opioid settlement funds. Would you like to? You're up. Yeah.
So, just because I can pull my thoughts together. My name is Stacy Austin, and for the last 4 years, I've been the recovery coach coordinator for Somerset County and Kennebec Behavioral Health. I've worked with well over 200 participants in the program, and in the last 2 years, we've worked with numerous volunteers to open up a recovery coaching center that's bridged the gap for Somerset County for not having a recovery center, which is on 34 High Street, right across the street here. Not only have we tried to get financial grant funding to do so, and we've tried and tried, we just recently are in the process of opening the doors for a grant-funded Somerset County Recovery Support Center from the Maine Recovery Council, which will be happening in September. So we'll soon be the home of the Somerset County Recovery Support Center. And I'd just like to share what we've been doing and why we're asking for some of this support. Just to give you a brief overview, in May, we had 75 visits to the center, and of those, 40 of those individuals have worked directly with a recovery coach, some in person, some remotely. In May, we had, in June this year, we logged in over 185 visits to the center, with 45 people actively engaged in recovery coaching. And when I say actively engaged, this is, we have paperwork, we have releases signed, they're assigned a recovery coach, but a lot of people just use the recovery center as a hub to come and just receive resources or attend a training or a meeting. But we've had, this growth speaks volumes. People are showing up and they're asking for help, but they're also putting in the work. Just by engaging with a recovery coach means that they're putting in the work, and there's accountability there. But in reality, showing up is only just a part of recovery. Staying connected to the community is critical and often just really hard. And I can explain, I asked an individual if I could write her short story, and they live in a rural part of Somerset County, and they're working with a recovery coach through telephone and Zoom. They're working really hard to stay in the recovery, and they rely on their coach for support, but their phone was going to be disconnected at the end of the month. And we tried looking for resources and trying to find, it's $45 to get a card that you can use Zoom capabilities on. And they weren't working at this time. They're early in their recovery. And it was turned off. And so just by having their phone turned off, they missed connections with their recovery coach. They were attending Zoom support meetings. So there's different support groups that you can meet online. And they were meeting, and they missed all their telehealth appointments because they couldn't connect with their mental health therapist. So, and she finally got a ride into, because we know we don't really have public transportation and you can't connect and get dropped off at the recovery center. So she finally got a ride in, and she's basically just said, she goes, it's not that I didn't want to talk with anybody, I just didn't have the capabilities. And we've tried over the years trying to fill those voids and trying to find money and grants to supplement some of these things. So, this is why we're asking for opioid settlement funds to help cover some of these basic asks that we've had people come in. So prepaid phones and phone cards so participants can connect with their lifeline. That's telehealth. That's connecting with their recovery coach. That's attending virtual meetings because we live in a vast rural area where people don't have transportation to meet in person at the center. But also gas cards. We do have people that come in. I had a gentleman that came in right before I left, and he's like, yeah, I don't start my new job until after the holidays, and I won't be able to make it back to the meeting tonight because I'm on empty, and I just left my appointment with my therapist. And he goes, and I can't come back into town because my tank's on empty. Hannaford gift cards. You know, food insecurities are hard, but it's, you know, sometimes it's basic hygiene needs. Laundry soap. And we have people coming in and we try to scrape together things that we can come up with. The food banks are fantastic, but sometimes, you know, they're not open when people need them. We get people that are released from jail and they're like, first thing they do is like, I don't have any food. Where am I gonna go? And so we try to connect them with as many things. I try to put things in our cupboards over to the center to keep snacks in there and stuff just to meet those basic needs, but sometimes it's hard. So that being said, you know, it seems like small things, but they can make a huge difference. They help people stay stable. They reduce daily stressors that can lead to relapse or loss of connection to their community supports. This gives people a fighting chance. They're not handouts, they're hand-ups. I mean, these are people that are trying, and they're also not we're not expecting them to be continuous monthly repetition of the same person for individuals, but supports to help reduce some of the immediate needs of people coming in. And we have done this in the past. We know we keep track of, like, I'm not going to repeatedly give phone cards or gas cards or food cards to people, but we're going to be working on resources to help eliminate those. But in the meantime, meeting that immediate need to help reduce some of the barriers. You know, our mission is to support the recovery community across Somerset County. And we're just asking if, you know, this is what some of the opioid settlement fund money is supposed to be used for, to help support the people in this community for that reason. And I just, you know, hopefully you consider it because I think it'll go a long ways. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
Just a quick question. In terms of the phones, I mean, and I'm sure Kennebec Valley Behavioral is aware of the Safe Talk state program where phones are dead.
We've had a lot of barriers because if you're in the same address that somebody has received a
Right.
straight talk phone,
Okay.
so we have people that are in the shelter that don't have addresses. A lot of the unhoused community.
It's always been an issue with that, so
Yeah.
I just was curious about that. And you answered the other question in terms of, I'm trying to think of how some of 6,250 is going to help ongoing, but this is just kind of to get things
To get,
in place and figure out.
it fills that gap right now where to hopefully, like I have people that I've worked with at Somerset County Jail and they don't have, I can meet them there, but when they get out, we've lost complete contact with them because many of them, and I used to be able to get cell phones through the CORA grant, and it was a great, I could make sure that I could access it, put my phone number in it, so when they got out, they had my phone number, they called, connect. I lose that now, so when they get out, no contact. I can leave my number, they can have my card, but a lot of times people just don't have the phone.
Anything further? Thank you very much for coming. And we'll be taking this up later on, the resolution 25-122.
Thank you for the consideration.
Yeah.
Is this what we're discussing?
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking at Patrick. We've got the money, right? I mean, this is not.
Yeah, it comes out of the open.
And this doesn't impact on our sublocate.
Well, we utilize the majority of the funds that we receive through the opioid settlements to use for matching grants for the
Sublocate, yeah.
But this is we have additional funds that will.
And this is sort of a follow-up for Sublocade, is it not, Sheriff? I mean, if
Yeah, I mean.
some of your people.
Right, we have, and she alludes to the fact that she deals with some, or works with, has communications with individuals inside the jail. We have someone specifically to help people upon their release, get those services. So to your point, what I'm hearing is that, that partnership is happening, but once this, apparently this money will help fill that gap to making sure that they get the continued services.
Okay, thank you.
And how much do we have in the,
We have
the fu-
roughly, I think, currently about 500,000,
and we receive 100,000 a year?
roughly, currently. That will dwindle as the years go on,
Yeah, it's 17 years.
unless they have new settlements.
It doesn't seem like a whole lot of money. You must have other funding sources for your organization.
It doesn't, don't, we always need more money, but right now, this is an immediate need.
Okay.
This is, I'm not gonna, until I have a full plan in effect. We just received the money from the Recovery Council. We're not greedy, we know where we stand, but if we find that, because there's certain deliverables that we have to meet with and what we can and can't do with some of the money from the Recovery Council. But right now, this is an immediate need.
Any other questions or comments? Now we move on to discussion of payment options for municipal tax payment to county.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
I think that where we left it off last time was that we're looking at 2 payments. And I just assume do that. I think it's a more of a,
Yeah.
Can I discuss what I handed out?
oh yes, we
Please
do.
do.
Okay. One of the concerns with the 2 payments was the loss of interest revenue from the county. So I put together a form that would show you how much interest income we lose by splitting the payments between September and March. Okay. The left-hand side of it shows our current process, and I'm using 4% because we currently receive 4% from the bank. So if you take the 15 million over the 12 months, we would earn roughly 600,000 in interest income. Now, if we split that and say we're going to collect roughly 7 million in September and another 7 million in March, the interest income would be at 461. So we would basically lose 155,000 in interest income. I took that 155,000 and I allocated it based on the total tax each town pays to show what portion would be allocated to the towns. What I suggest is if we are concerned, we want to make sure that the county is whole, but also be somewhat flexible, is you offer the 2-payment process, but the town has to agree to pay whatever the interest amount that we lose. For example, let's just go at the top, Anson. Let's say Anson would like to sign up for this 2-payment process. Well, the interest loss associated with the Anson 2-payment process would be $4,119.47. I would say offer them this 2-payment process, but we will bill you an additional $4,219.47 for the interest that we lose. So if they're looking at trying to, for cash flow, they can use it to cash flow, but it doesn't come without a cost.
How would that be different than them just going and borrowing the money on a tax anticipation loan if they didn't have it, and just paying it all up front?
Right.
They may have be cheaper for them, probably?
It could be, I don't know what the tax anticipation loan percentage rate is going, but this would ensure that the county wouldn't lose any interest income per se for doing the two-payment process.
Does the law allow us to proceed down that avenue?
I do not know, other than you would have the town sign an agreement.
Well, isn't this discretionary with the county, whether I haven't read the law, I'm embarrassed.
Yes, the county is not required to offer
No.
the two-payment process.
So if we want to impose conditions as part of it, I think we can.
So,
I
Right.
guess, just guessing.
I haven't read the body of the law, so I don't know if it would affect that or not.
It's a wit, if we decide to go down through that, I have no issue, we can ask Peter if there's any issue with this before we offer.
so if that was able to be done, I can see that kind of narrowing the field of those that would want to participate in two payment. Is there a risk of those smaller towns getting hit harder?
No. If everybody except for Anson pays on time, the one payment, the amount of interest that you would lose with Anson paying the two payments is that $4,000. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
whoever signs up for it, the amount of interest that we lose is actually what I've allocated here. So you could have 90% of the towns sign up for the one payment, the other 10% do the two payment, and we would only charge that portion to those towns.
I guess on the other hand, are there towns, and we don't have that here, that do not pay all at once?
Only if they are
And so
in
they have,
financial struggles. I've only, I think, since I've been here, maybe twice. Last year, they've had some troubles at the Forks. They had a bunch of turnover up there.
Yeah.
So that they paid late and they paid interest for it.
yeah. And I know the other interest rate is
It
7.5%.
happens, but it's very infrequent.
So is this sort of a solution in search of a problem? It's the towns have been
It could be that.
paying their county tax promptly, usually without late issues,
Right.
and are we just encouraging procrastination, or I'm just not sure why are we doing this?
Well, we're not doing it for account. We're doing it for the towns in the sense that they need cash flow. The only reason they would split up their payments is because of cash flow.
Okay.
So if their cash flow is at I don't know, if they have to do tan, is a tan cheaper than this bill? If it isn't, then they'll probably pay one payment. If it is, they'll sign up for two payments. And if the county, the county could say, well, we're not worried about the $155,000 and not charge anything.
Well, I think we should worry about that.
Well, yes, I do.
We don't have to raise the county tax to make up for
Yes.
for the shortfall.
So that's the other thing.
That's
that we
why the
have.
finance department tried it too.
And if we, even if we went without the $155,000, that's gonna raise property taxes because it has to be made up through property taxes, where this is made up through interest.
Correct.
So it's a different,
Right. It's just a thought in the sense that to give the option of two payments, but they have to pay for it if they don't.
right, just like a tab.
Are we taking action on this today?
We don't have to take it.
We don't have to,
but it is there.
For some, we can table it, but. So, the question back to charging them that amount of interest, does a portion of the period of that payment period fall within the interest rate time, one of the two payments, or no?
Well, they're at the bottom of the
Okay.
handout I sent you. In the middle of the sheet where it says tax assessment and new income tax,
Yep.
that assumes the two payment process. So you get $7.5 million in September, and you get an additional $7.5 million in March.
Well, we all set with our discussion on municipal tax payments at the moment?
Usually.
I'm just hesitant to pull that trigger. The way things are, it seems effective and we assure the interest rate. That's
Well,
$155,000 potential loss, and we really don't need to lose that, but.
We have the resolution, so we can
Yeah.
take it up again. Question? Yes.
Denise Ducharme, Town of Madison, Town Manager. I'm sorry I'm late. I asked the county administrator to look into this as a possibility, primarily for cash flow. And, you know, if there's going to be a cost between the September payment and the March payment, then we'll make that cost adjustment. I mean, you know, but as far as cash flow, we're looking at a $500,000 payment a month for the school assessment. We just don't have that much. And then to be able to issue a check to the county for $1 million in September or October we're gonna have to go out to borrow money. And the previous select board has been adamant that the town of Madison is debt-free, and has been for a great number of years. So I encourage you to at least consider the option, and if there's a cost between the half that we pay in September and the half that we pay in March, then, you know, let's talk about a reasonable amount of interest or a fee or something that can help accommodate that.
If you have this right on the,
According to this, in order for the county not to lose the interest it gains on having the money early, the town of Madison would have to make up $10,800.42 for the benefit of postponing or splitting the payment in two.
That's at 7.5% interest?
No.
That's at 4% interest.
That's just.
At 4% interest, I'm good with that. That's an absolutely reasonable amount. We can recover that in our cash flow process, and we would happily pay that.
That sounds good.
all right.
Yeah, we're not trying to use the state percentage of 8%.
Okay.
We're just looking at county level.
Yeah.
We're currently earning 4%.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever the county.
Whatever you would lose.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and I understand that, and I completely support that.
And I think when we get to our resolution, we can flush that out for a more understood contract.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you can help us when we get there.
For the contract?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You brought it up,
Tim.
it was your idea, so. Stick it with you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna move on to, unless you're all done with this discussion, are you all set? Yep. Okay. So we're gonna discuss the commissioner resolution pursuant LD 1971, which is to, ask, Janet Mills to veto LD 1971 that was passed by the Maine legislature. Do you want me to read the resolution?
I have it in front of me.
Okay,
I think we all do.
you all have it.
Well,
Any discussion on this?
Well, I apologize for always being the contrarian here, but I oppose the resolution, although I think it's a bad bill. I agree with what the governor said in that newspaper article I sent you, which is a poorly written, bad bill that is complicated, it's confusing, it's burdensome to the county and to the sheriff's office. I don't know if it's going to achieve the goals that they are trying to achieve, and I think, I hope the governor vetoes it. Having said that, And as I read the resolution, I don't think it's a violation of the United States Constitution. So I have a hard time with a resolution that claims that it is, and putting my signature on that. I'm aware of the US Constitution, I've read the Supremacy Clause, and I've read the 10th Amendment and the 9th Amendment, and I don't think the federal government has the authority to federalize local law enforcement if they chose to do so. I haven't done any research on that, but I'd be surprised to find that out. So I don't think it's unconstitutional for the state to limit its activities with respect to the federal government in any particular area. In fact, just a month ago, I think we as a board decided that it was a really bad idea to cooperate with the federal government when it came to the acquisition of the land. So we're sort of apparently now on a different sheet of music. But in any event, my basic concern is the one I've said on other issues, is that I don't think it's not in my job description as a county commissioner to sound off or pontificate on political issues that, although they may be very interesting and we may have strong views on them, don't directly pertain to my job here as a county commissioner. I think we can all contact the governor's office or the governor or our legislators and bring whatever heat we can to bear to make sure this doesn't pass. Apparently we have until January, according to the newspaper article, before final action must be taken. And I've said this before, I don't think we should be sounding off with declarations and pontifications and resolutions about political issues that do not directly concern us. We are not a legislative body. Our job is to look after the county and make sure the bills are paid and the policies are appropriate. So for those reasons, I'm not going to vote for this and I'm not going to sign it. So take it from there.
Anybody else? Any concerns or comments?
Very much in favor of this resolution.
And
I
Sip?
think the thing that we gotta look at here is, and I guess it's up to interpretation, but my perspective is it is unconstitutional. Flies in the face of our law enforcement. It brings a higher risk to our community when we're not be able to coordinate and cooperate with federal agencies to take care of those that are committing crimes that are in the situation that we're talking about. So for me, this is a no-brainer. I think we have to stand on this.
I'm 100% for this resolution. The governor showed that she doesn't care about what the government does, so when she did Title IX, fought against Title IX, and it's a no-brainer too.
I'm in favor of the resolution myself. I think that as a elected body that we do need to speak up when there are things that affect our county. And this does affect our county in the way that it affects our ability to work with our law enforcement partners. That said, I'm not at all impressed with ICE with masks and no identification and coming in and acting as if they are essentially kidnapping people and whisking them away into unknown parts. I'm totally against that, and I do think that that is unconstitutional, which is why I'm glad that we have in here that we will work with the federal government in all aspects of legally constitutional law enforcement, which still puts us that would means that if we're given an illegal order, we do not have to abide by any illegal orders. So I'm in favor, and I would be happy to sign it. I've already written to Mills asking her as a private individual to veto it.
Just as an FYI, it's looking more and more like she's gonna let it sit on her desk until it passes, so.
Well, that's not in the newspaper article. I don't know what your basis for saying that is. Why do you say that?
Because we've
Heard from who?
We've heard it from several different situations. I'm just saying it's rumored that.
And what do you think about the law is unconstitutional?
What's
You're
that?
saying, this resolution says the legislation, which I don't like, you're saying it's unconstitutional. Why are you saying that?
Because we should be cooperating with the feds on any criminal situation.
That's in the Constitution?
Well, maybe that's not a piece of it, but the whole.
You're going on record saying that you think this law is unconstitutional. I don't think it's unconstitutional. I think it's just a bad law. So you want to put your signature to an official resolution saying it's unconstitutional without being able to explain why it is unconstitutional? Or what particular section or clause of the Constitution is being violated? That's what you want to do? I'm not doing that. I realize there's a big political thing here, and that's what we had a month ago with that land transaction. You know, but we've done really well as an organization, as long as I've been here, when we kind of check the ideology at the door and try to do county business. And this is not doing that. It's, you know, getting our toes wet with a divisive issue that a lot of people disagree on. And it's a bad law, it's not unconstitutional.
It's also stepping on the jurisdictional duty of our sheriff because of what he has for jurisdictional duty. He's the highest law.
There are many laws, and I have great sympathy for the sheriff. There are many laws that come down that are extremely annoying, poorly thought out, and constrain the sheriff and law enforcement in general with all sorts of requirements and annoying things. And the state has the authority to do that. Just like, you know, we're required to send police officers to the police academy. I mean, the legislature has ultimate control over the exercise of the police power in the state of Maine.
Over the state.
State,
We don't have
local,
jurisdiction in the county, I don't know.
the state has the authority to control all the local government affairs. There is no sort of, in my view, there is no sort of font of constitutional immunity that comes from a sheriff's office in one of Maine's 16 counties. Just, you know, dating back to the Magna Carta, it's just not there.
Well, I think that what was reported in the news today, that Governor Mills is going to wait until January to decide whether she'll sign, veto, or not sign and allow it to pass into law, gives us some room to perhaps rewrite this. And also, but I had talked to some people who said that she'd most likely let it go into law without her signature. But reading what I saw in Bangor Daily News, I'm willing to take some time to wait and see how things progress, and also wait until we have a full contingency here of commissioners, which we've done in the past, waited for a full contingency of commissioners to take action on something that is as important as this. Anything else? We're going to pick it up again in a few minutes. And Sheriff, if you have anything to add regarding to help
It
us?
is poorly written. I believe that, though the state does regulate our training, our state laws, I am offended that the legislature is going to try to dictate who I will partner with and not partner with. Somerset County deputies do not actively enforce federal immigration law, but if we are asked for help, I am going to send my deputies. I don't want to compromise my deputies' safety on the side of the road if they run into a situation where their safety might be tied to some illegal immigration activity. This resolution that you all came up with the governor has to make a decision in January. I just feel it's important that she knows, from me personally, that I'm not going to tell my deputies that we're not going to ask or assist the federal government for when they ask for help or we need help from them. Again, our deputies do not actively enforce immigration law. That's ICE's duties. But we will continue to assist if asked, or if we need help from them, which we did this weekend from a federal agency in a volatile situation up in the Jackson area. They're quick to assist us there. So I don't want to compromise that relationship.
I agree with that, Sheriff. I don't think we should either, and I think this is a bad law. I think they try to, with the exceptions, try to create an exception which allows, this is what they're focusing on, is a direct sort of deputization of local law enforcement to go do an ICE thing with otherwise innocent people, this whole thing.
So that form, that deputization of local law enforcement I'm not going to sign that. I wouldn't sign that. But don't tell me I can't help another law enforcement officer or whatever, federal, local, and conversely, they help us. In a big county where we need all hands on deck sometimes, I'm not in favor of compromising those relationships.
I agree with you, and I think we should do everything we can to make sure this doesn't pass. And I'm hopeful the governor, by waiting, will have a landscape that she can look at come January where she can feel comfortable politically just vetoing this.
Well, to your point, there is clearly a lot of emotion in these laws that they're passed, and that itself is a problem when you, instead of looking at something objectively, you inject your own emotion. That's bad law.
Yeah.
So that's my personal opinion.
Okay, we can move along.
Just one more thing. How does this affect things for you, Sheriff, currently, in terms of housing?
So again, that bill got watered down quite a bit from its original bill. I think reading the bill, it appeared as written, or its final draft. It specifically targeted ICE and our relationship with them. So right now, it's business as usual. If they ask for help, we're going to help. And again, they've helped us. So right now, it's business as usual, and that's how I intend to prosecute our operations.
And in the unlikely event this goes into effect, which I don't think it will, I don't think there's anything that prohibits you from housing ICE detainees in this.
No.
It's not.
Again, I'm really concerned about, as it is written, the roadside safety
Yeah.
of our deputies.
I agree with you.
Moving along, we've got no public hearings, any new agenda items, Commissioner Zolway? No, good. Administrator report, he's on vacation. Leanne?
That's the report, is on vacation.
Yeah, Nikki's on
He's
vacation.
on vacation, okay. Finance reporting.
Nothing really too much to talk about. We are entering the new year with 6 open positions. One in the DA's office, one in the sheriff's office, the SO admin, and then 3 in the sheriff's office and 1 at the jail. we're still tracking to be favorable in all areas for FY 2025.
And those have all been posted?
The jobs.
Yeah.
Has the DA one been posted?
Yep.
Yeah,
Nice, okay.
that was the last one.
Yep.
Was that a sudden, or, was that a surprise departure or vacancy? Was it- You see that one coming?
No. No, we were anticipating that.
Okay.
Tanya?
Yes, thank you. Tim asked that I pop in and update you on LD 1287. I thought I'd take a second to update you on all of the legislature that's affecting our department right now. So just quickly on that handout I gave you, I don't mean to go through every detail of this. I meant for you to take the packet with you and read it. And my email's on the bottom of the page, so just contact me with any direct questions. But just quickly, LD 353, that's the commission to create or rather the bill to create a commission on deed fraud. That's still in the works. We're still waiting to hear who will be on that commission and the schedule. LD 915, microfilm. They've changed our archive copy from microfilm to digital, a digital file. We're already in compliance with that because we have multiple digital backups, tape backups, and microfilm. So we're covered in that department. 1287 is the one of concern. What's happening is the Appropriations Committee has allocated 0.8% of our portion of the transfer tax. They've basically taken it from us and given it to the state. And the state will be using it for the for housing, to support the Housing Stability Fund. So, as you know, when we have a land transfer, we collect transfer tax, the county keeps 10%, the state gets 90%. That will change if the governor signs this. And so I did some calculations using the 2024 figures that I have. And if we apply the same rule to those figures, the county stands to lose $13,700. So that's happening right now and being discussed right now. After that is LD 210, the mansion tax, that's also new. That we will gain from ultimately because we'll start billing differently after the $1 million mark. So if the land transfer comes in for over $1 million, after that $1 million part, for every $500, we'll bill at $6 for transfer tax. So again, I applied the numbers to our 2024 figures, and excluding that big transfer I told you all about, the $41 million transfer up north, excuse me, up north, excluding that one because it was such an anomaly, if we take the 24 figures, we stand to gain $11,000. Lastly is our fee increase, that's LD 358, that has passed and will go into effect January 1st, 2026. There's a brief outline there of the changes. I have also included 2 handouts. They're in draft form still, but the handouts will be finalized and we'll start passing those out to our customers next week. I wanted you to be aware of them before we started handing them out, so in case questions start coming in. Again, I took the figures from 2024 and applied our new fee increases, and not making any promises, as Patrick counsels me, but going by those figures, we're looking at an increase of about $90,000 in revenue from that.
So about 45.
Good math. So if you take the gains and the losses over the next year, considering the new laws that will be coming out, we should still be fine. We should still be ahead, $65,000-ish. I know that's a lot to digest. Again, Tim asked me to pop in and inform you, so I hope for you to take this with you and email me with any questions.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Dave?
Two things probably going on, UTs, three actually. We have a capital road project going on. Lexington, where the primary one is going on. State also reevaluated all of the UTs statewide, but it's reflecting tax valuations of increases between 200 and 300% for a lot of them. So I've had some calls, but we really don't know where we stand because they will give us a new mill rate. They will lower the mill rate since there's such an increase in the valuation. That hasn't been established yet, so everyone's kind of waiting to see how loudly they should be screaming. I know my family's camp on Brassway, the valuation went up 267%. Wow. So I'm waiting to see what the mill rate's going to be. We were at 5.57, so it better be a lot lower than what it was last year. The other issue, the one that's going to take some time to get everything aligned, is Rockwood Transfer Station. We've had a burn pile up there for decades and decades and decades. But we now need to haul off the trash. The Department of Environmental Protection's been up, they've done an audit. We've corrected a few of the items, corrected them when they were misunderstanding what they were seeing. We have a water tank up there that's filled with water with a pump attached, so when we burn the burn pile, we can put it out and spread, so it's a fire prevention. They thought that was a used oil tank, so we had to clean that up. But we do have some things we got to work on. We've got to haul off the ash. We've got to have it tested to see if it's contaminated or not. It's primarily brush and old dragged out of the lakes and whatnot. But some materials get put in, such as pressed lumber, some painted wood gets thrown in, especially if it's burning already, people chuck it in there. So we have to have it tested, and if it comes back contaminated, the material has to be hauled out of state. So we're looking at probably a substantial cost when we determine that. But that's just stuff we're going to be working on for the first half of this year coming up. That's it.
Sheriff?
A couple of things. We had 3 cruisers damaged over the weekend. One was responding to a fight in Jackman and struck a deer. And we had 2 vehicles that were damaged in a pursuit that initiated in Heartland. We spiked Matt the car, and the male operating the car ended up ramming our cruisers and ramming into it. So we're dealing with that. Something to make you aware of, Cambridge contacted me probably a year or so ago. They no longer wanted to do concealed weapons permits. We've been working through that process, and I want to congratulate Sydney Quigley. She did the hard work setting this all up, but we are going to be issuing concealed weapons permit for the town of Cambridge. I had originally asked if the state would do that because they have a concealed weapons division. Apparently, so right now, a police chief or select people can issue those permits. The town of Cambridge no longer wanted to hold on to that responsibility because of the liability. They did contact the state, but apparently if you did not initially go to state that many years ago, they're not taking they're not taking on any new work. So that so working with the Cambridge, we're doing it as good, if not better, than the state as getting all proper paperwork, but we're gonna be starting doing that for the town of Cambridge.
Did I miss anybody? We can continue on to, let's see, don't unfinished business, new business, resolution 25-120 to authorize a commissioner resolution pursuant to LD 1971. I would suggest that we move this forward for at least another meeting so that we'd have a full contingent.
Yeah, I make a motion to table it to the next meeting.
Motion to table?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, that's a go. Resolution 25-121 to establish payment options and interest charged on unpaid county taxes for FY 2026. Again, I would recommend that we let Patrick, our financial director, and Tim Curtis, our county administrator, work together with the town managers to find a formula that will work and then bring it to us another time. So if that would be a motion?
I'll make a motion to table it until we get information from
Yep,
Tim and Patrick.
right. Motion second.
Maybe a draft
Discussion?
resolution to incorporate the suggestion that you made, which apparently sounds good to at least one major town in our county.
Yeah, we'll do it like an MOU, so you can utilize for the towns.
Great. Any further discussion? All in favor? That's a go. Resolution 25-12-2 to award $6,250 in opioid settlement funds to Kennebec Behavioral Health for member support funding.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Let's go. Resolution 25-123 to approve paying the following matching grant award based on completion of the project, Friends of L.C. Bates Museum Marketing Project. Award $2,066.
So,
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Let's go. Resolution 25-124 to authorize the paying of commissioners' mileage for the fourth quarter of FY 2025.
so
Moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? All in favor? And capital reserve expenditures, none. Unorganized territory. Warrants, resolution 25-125 to approve the treasurer's warrant for the general funds, Somerset County Jail, unorganized territories, TIF tax revenue, and TIF community benefit for a total amount of fiscal year 25 and fiscal year 26, $990,000, $342.96.
So move.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor? Miscellaneous items, commissioners only. Seeing none. Recess to execute documents.
I'll take that.
Thank you, Patrick.
Happy 4th, everybody. Thank you. Have a safe weekend.
Hey, Patrick, I got a stupid question. I didn't want to public. So, right here.
same stuff for the roll.
I know this is the start of this year.
Oh, I know there.
Oh, this did one as a,
Why does it?
to close trio.
Yeah.
We have to close all the batteries, and wait to close the batteries.
And
So there's okay.
So these two
Yeah, I agree.
are actually for
They're the same.
It's just you time here for one.
Thank you.
go past
That's Tracy Gloves doing that. These warrants.
that. The lawn was good.
It needs one more, then they'll have to go.
I was just telling him today, I think you get 12 hours a day, I mean a week, each time you mow it?
Oh, yeah. Well, if my wife helps, because we've got 2 mowers, it's just 1 day project. If I do it by myself, we'll push and weed whacking and everything. It's a day and a half.
If you keep killing them off like that, I'm sure they're only gonna have small patches to mow anyway, so.
Well, I put the thing down to setting 3 and I just, if there's a lump, it gets mowed through. So I mean, I've had really bad patches if there's a lump.
Yeah, but that's good though, because you end up flattening out your yard, even if the grass grows.
That yard doesn't be flat. They use, the big tractors that do the hanging. It's runs all through that. If they've done it, whatever.
When I mow out there, just like that, that's why I got that easy ride, slopes like this over the bumps.
And you got these
Yeah, I got
cut-offs down to the dirt.
easy rod, you know, they keep it.
Are you
My skull by the
grabbing
time I'm done.
this? Are you grabbing this one?
Yes.
Just how you work right now.
No, I know, I just.
There's a lot there.
He was grabbing.
Yep.
Yep.
Maybe a trip.
No, bring,
Bring John back.
Rob back in. Thank you for writing up the,
John.
new
you're getting
resolution
something back.
for the towns.
He just showed me something that you should read.
They just want you to come back and do it. Are you done?
Sorry.
Yeah.
That is why they have to do this. It's just that on the segment that I had on there that I put on the Excel statement.
Would she have the ability
Well, that doesn't say that's unconstitutional, that doesn't say anything about it being unconstitutional.
No, I don't, it doesn't say that there, but that's the reason why anytime you tie the hands of law enforcement, you know, the situation, it's not constitutional.
There's no enforcement provision to the law as it's written. It doesn't say well, there'll be a fine imposed if you don't do this, or there'll be a crime if you don't do this. It's just nothing.
But I see the sheriff's point, or if, say for example, there's a situation where ICE definitely needed 3 deputies real quick, we'll supply those deputies.
I don't have a big problem. I mean,
No,
I'm not saying that's, I don't like the law at all. I just think it's very performative. If you look at the people that proposed it, they seem to have, they're all immigrants. They're defending their thing. They have the reasons for doing what they want to do, but
I do know that the state troopers have been told by their commanding officers to do their routine, like they do their routine. If they stop somebody, if it's criminal, you take care of it regardless of that individual and where they're from.
here's the real thing about this law. It says,
So the commanders don't.
you're arrest somebody for OUI, you don't know where they give their status.
well, it exempts, they're trying to do this. They try to exempt out law enforcement, traditional law enforcement, so it's not against this law to assist